My name is Rosemary Santoro, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on creating a journal and keeping a journal. I view the journal as a tool for exploration, raising questions, answering questions, and it's really fun. I've worked a lot with the journal over the past few years, especially in a Costa Rica course with Dr. Jenny Rock and in an independent study, but I really keep a journal in all my courses and in many different areas of my life. To begin, I want to talk about some books and artists that have been really inspirational to me. This first is called The Zen of Seeing Drawing as Meditation, by Frederick Frank, and I'll leave links to these books and other links at the end. This book is great. This uses a lot of ink wash, and ink wash is something I'll talk about later. This is called The Trail Through Leaves by Hannah Hinchman. She's been one of the most influential artists for me when it comes to my journal practice, in the way that she structures text, illustrates animals, plant forms, and does a lot of reflective writing on her process. In an independent study that I did after coming home from Costa Rica, I tried a lot of techniques that Hannah Hinchman uses in my own journal to see if they worked well for my style or if I got anything out of it, and of course I did. It was a really, really good experience. You can see I'm kind of wrapping text and playing around with different styles that she uses. I'll leave this book in the library. I also love working from field books. When I'm not out in the field, I love drawing directly from guides and field books, whether it be from other people's illustrations or from photos. It can be a really good way to practice. This is a book called Drawing from Life by Jennifer New. It belongs to my father, who's an artist, and he let me take it up here for the term. There's a section on Hannah Hinchman, which is the artist I talked about earlier, and a lot of other great artists. It's really, really, really helpful to look at work by other people to kind of learn what you do and don't like, what you're drawn to. This is an example of just some simple notes from Trees and Shrubs, which I took last fall. Starting to break down visual hierarchy really simply. You probably do this in a lot of your own journals for classes, but creating visual hierarchy is really important to your organization of information and creating a flow of information. I'll break this down a little later when I do a sample page. These are a lot more ink washes and other field sketches. These are some materials that I really like using. The first is a fine pen. It's water-based. You can use any water-based pen. This can create the ink wash. A bold pen is great too to create thicker lines, do headers. Any pencil is good, and a little paintbrush to use with the watercolor. This is a little travel watercolor set by Winsor Newton that my friend gave me a few years back. They do still sell them. You can also squeeze any watercolors into a tin and take them out in the field. I always add white, can be gouache or watercolor, to just make it a little thicker, and I like the bright look. Over time you'll see what colors you're drawn to just by what's collected in the tin too. So assemble your materials before you start. It can be good to use watercolor pencils if you don't want to bring a whole watercolor set. Any little journal, preferably thick paper for water-based media so it doesn't warp, and a hand lens can be fun to get really up close with, small organisms. Okay, so I always start with the date. It can be in whatever format. Play around with different ones. You might like the look of one over the other. I always add my location. Right now I'm in Hulls Cove on the island, and I'll add the academic week too if we're in term, just to keep track of what I'm doing. Got my mushroom in the middle here. So I start with a quick sketch. You can do pencil, pen. Sometimes I go right in with pen, but you can do pencil. to outline first. As questions come up, things I'm wondering about, I jot them on the sides. And you're not seeking answers all the time. You're seeking further understanding, and you're seeking what questions lead to new questions to build your relationship with your surroundings and objects of your interest. This is the ink wash I was talking about. Just a little bit of water from the paintbrush will do the trick. I love using the ink wash because it really quickly adds depth to your work, even if it's just a quick sketch. If you want to add a little color, you can. I don't always do this, but if you have time. Some people love working with color, so if that's your thing, go for it. It can be good to practice, even if you're afraid of it, like I am. Go in there and just add a little bit of color, and it makes a big difference. Here I'm labeling, front is kind of subjective, so specify, is it face up when growing? And then I just mark, face, front, or rear, just so I can have a record for coming back to my notes later. This is a perfect use of the hand lens, really turning the mushroom over and looking at, okay, what's the spore pattern? Well, these have pores, not gills, so I wrote that down. And this little circle shape I did coming off is just a way to create like a zoom in section. And by doing a small circle and then a big one and connecting with the line, you can make that clear. Use your thick pen to create a header. Look how this really changes the way the organization of information is happening on the page. Like your eye knows where to go when you come to this page rather than just a bunch of writing in the same size font, same thickness. Like really play around with ways to organize content. And keep asking questions. You don't have to be perfect. You can draw things that you do not know what they are. Like please do. That's how you figure it out. I just had this turkey tail in my studio space and I wanted to do a quick video, so I grabbed it. But please, you don't have to know and give a name for everything at all. Like I'm a strong believer in, ID is not always the most important thing. Like you just need to experience being in the field, and having a journal can be a tool to connect with your surroundings in a way that you might not have done before. I find that by drawing throughout my life, I've noticed things that I never would have before. You're learning how to see and how to train your hand to draw what you see. And once you do that, once you keep practicing, there's really nothing you cannot draw. And I really believe that everyone can draw. It's like any other skill set. It takes time and it takes practice, and you're gonna draw things that you hate. You just gotta keep making work. Return to your sketchbook. You don't even have to show your friends. Like just do this for yourself, and then as you get more comfortable, you can use it as a tool for discussion, for teaching. Keep asking questions. Yeah, so that's it for now. This is my sample page. Don't be afraid to write how you're feeling that day. Add the weather. I often add the weather when I'm in the field. I'm really happy to talk to anyone about any questions they have after this. I'm really in love with, hand lettering, drawing. So please reach out. I would love to talk to you. Yeah, thank you so much.